6 o'clock news starts right now.
We're going to talk about Proposition A. It's not just about marijuana, but it is arguably what propelled the sweeping proposed charter amendment onto San Antonio's May 6th ballot.
Also known as the San Antonio Justice Charter, Prop A would prohibit San Antonio police from arresting or even citing people for most cases of pot possession under 4 ounces.
But San Antonio wouldn't be the test case in this instant. Garrett Berger tells us voters in 6 other Texas cities have approved similar measures, all with varying results.
In a growing college town, it's not much of a surprise. Over 80% of San Marcos voters chose to decriminalize pot in November.
We cannot arrest for what's considered a Class B or Class A misdemeanor amount of possession of marijuana.
That's the crux of ballot initiatives voters in 6 Texas cities passed overwhelmingly last year. Austin was first in May, though its police had already announced they would stop doing most low-level pot arrests back in the summer of 2020.
There has been no marijuana enforcement of Class A or Class B marijuana possession in the city of Austin for now close to 3 years. Ground
Game Texas was involved in Austin's campaign, plus the 5 other cities in November, and now San Antonio's.
Big picture, the question of enforceability is as much a political question as it is a legal question.
Elgin city manager says they've delayed implementing their ordinance as they wait for a state attorney general opinion. Harker Heights City Council simply repealed what voters passed, though the issue is back on the May ballot. In Denton, there have been some tense meetings on what can or can't be done.
I do not direct the police chief. He gets his oath from the state of Texas. I could tell him to break the law, but that is not what I will do as a professional.
Killing's police chief says his officers have largely been letting people caught with the drug go. And the arrests were generally because there were other issues.
They had warrants, they had a gun on them, they had other drugs on them.
Back in San Marcos, the police chief has tried to thread the needle between the ordinance and state law by issuing a memo instead of a policy. He says it has the same result.
It is everybody's belief that we absolutely do follow this ordinance.
San Antonio city attorney has already said the city would not enforce much of Prop A were it to pass, including the pot decriminalization. The initiative's supporters think he's out of line.
And so what we hope is that the voters resoundingly approve Proposition A, the Justice Charter. The city council hears that message, and the city council tells staff, go do it.
Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
Multiple times this week, we've reported stories of victims tracking down suspects they believe stole their belongings, and it's turned violent. So today we ask, does the castle doctrine apply here? What rights do you have to defend your property if it is stolen? St. Mary's law professor Alexandra Klein says the castle doctrine in Texas provides people the legal right to self-defense when in a private space. Klein says property defense is slightly different from self-defense. And when it comes to stolen property, this particular law may not exactly apply.
The law generally doesn't permit the use of deadly force to recover one's property if you've sort of tracked it down over a period of time. A person can use force, the Texas statute says sort of in immediate pursuit, but that word immediate does a lot of work, right? It's sort of happening right then and there.
San Antonio police advise not taking matters into your own hands and say file a report right away with a clear description of what was stolen. And they add they have the necessary resources to help recover stolen property.
Some neighbors are concerned about what they call a surge in car break-ins and drug use in the far reaches of Bexar County. Those same neighbors also say too many crimes there go unpunished because there aren't enough Bexar County deputies. Well, a plan to bulk up Bexar County law enforcement not getting the support you might think. Camelia Juarez with the bill before the legislature and what could be the cost to Bexar County.
I just hate the crime and the little that's being done to prevent it.
Priscilla Alacron says she wants to move away from the Alamo Ranch area because of all the crime. When she heard about House Bill 2566, which would require 1.8 peace officers for every 1,000 people living in unincorporated areas, she supports it.
Just anything that can help deter crime and prevent it.
Commissioner Tommy Calvert asked the Bexar County Budget Office how much would it cost to make it happen. The county would need 440 new deputies at a cost of $49.2 million. Ron Took with the Deputy Sheriff's Association and Sheriff Javier Salazar agree more deputies are needed. Both recognize the difficulties in recruiting and keeping deputies. The sheriff's office hasn't been able to fill the openings it already has.
It's not like they pass this bill and tomorrow this happens. This is a 5-year stretch.
Commissioner Calvert is against the bill, saying it's an unfunded mandate. And Calvert says the county would have to take resources away from mental health, construction jobs, and other county services.
The state legislature has said the local communities cannot reduce law enforcement budget once you do it. So this is purposely and evilly meant to tie the hands of this court for years.
Local Rep Steve Allison helped write the bill and says public safety is a priority.
I've long been a supporter of local control, and I understand the sensitivity of mandates, but the county left no other choice. They're not doing their job.
Currently, House Bill 2566 is still in committee hearings, and it's not yet been sent to the floor for a vote. Camalia Juarez, KSAT 12 News.
A huge breaking story late this afternoon. An attorney for former President Donald Trump confirming now he has been indicted in New York on charges involving payments made during the 2016 presidential campaign. Trump now becomes the first former president charged with a crime.
Those payments he made were allegedly to keep an extramarital affair he had with a porn star quiet. Coming up in our next half hour, we're going to hear from a political science professor at Trinity University about this historic moment and what this means for the presidential race next year.
DNA evidence found on a gun leads to an arrest in a shooting case that's more than a year old now. 18-year-old Jason Harper is charged in that shooting from November 2021 west of downtown. An arrest affidavit says that Harper went to the victim's home and asked where someone was. The victim said they didn't know, and that's when investigators say Harper shot him several times. People in the area tackled Harper, but he was able to get free. The gun, though, was left at the scene. It was swabbed for DNA evidence, and in April 2022, the DNA had a match. Harper was arrested yesterday afternoon. He's being held in the Bexar County Jail on a $95,000 bond.
A San Antonio woman has been arrested following a smuggling chase in Zavala County. According to the Zavala County Sheriff's Office, Rebecca Marie Rudd led deputies on a chase while driving with a group of migrants in her vehicle. It happened just before 1 a.m. on Wednesday on U.S. Highway 51 near La Pryor. After deputies popped her tires, Rudd tried to make a run for it, but was detained. 6 migrants in the vehicle were also detained. She is facing charges of smuggling persons, a second-degree felony.
The suspect in a deadly shooting at a Northwest Side bar has turned himself into police. That shooting happened just before 2 this morning on Console Drive. That's near Wurzbach and I-10. Police say the suspect and the victim got into an argument inside that bar. At some point, the suspect pulled out a gun and shot the man. The victim died. The suspect took off, but later came back and turned himself in. He's now expected to be charged with murder. The name of that victim and the suspect have not yet been released.
A woman had to be pulled from her car following a crash near Woodlawn Lake. It happened just after midnight on Rivas Street on the west side. SAPD says the woman told officers she was rear-ended by another vehicle that caused her truck to roll into an empty lot. Firefighters then had to cut that woman out of her truck. She made it out with no injuries. Police say no other vehicles that they could find were involved.
Look outside with live cam. After a soupy start, we have dried out, but it's really remained gray and pretty breezy out there this afternoon, Adam.
Yeah, it definitely is a soupy start earlier today with the fog, the drizzle, and sprinkles. And right now you can see the clouds that we have on the live cam. Visible satellite imagery of view from space showing how thick those clouds are. The low-level clouds coming in from the southeast, high-level clouds coming in off the Pacific from the southwest up above us. It looks like it could rain any moment out there, but we really don't have any showers. This is what we had on the radar earlier today in terms of 12-hour rainfall totals. We're looking at up to 1/10 of an inch here and there from some of those streaky showers, especially just east of town. But even locally at the airport, we did get 0.11 of an inch. So that persistent drizzle and those passing sprinkles added up to at least something, a little bit of something, not enough to put a dent in our drought. And speaking of drought, by the way, I will have the newest drought monitor coming up momentarily. 20% chance of a shower this evening and tonight, then drizzle redevelops along with fog. We'll talk all about it and let you know how long it's going to last tomorrow in just a bit.
Thank you, Adam. Let's check out traffic right now. Let's go to 410 at Ingram, and you can see things are moving very smoothly in both directions. Heavy traffic out there, but no major traffic tie-ups to tell you about.
A co-defendant in a capital murder trial today admitting guilt and telling the jury his side of what happened the night a 22-year-old man was fatally shot.
The other man alleged to have taken part in this crime, Jimmy Tran. He's been on trial all week. Erica Hernandez takes us inside the courtroom for this crucial testimony.
I am just as responsible and culpable of what happened today.
Sebastian Espinal taking the stand to testify against the man who he says was with him when they robbed and shot Andres Salinas on August 12, 2019. Salinas, Espinal says, had previously sold him fake Xanax pills, and he had planned just to rob him.
Did you have any intent to harm Andres?
No.
Espinal says that Jimmy Tran brought along 2 guns to the meetup with Salinas, and when Salinas grabbed money from inside the car, Tran was the one who instructed him to start shooting.
He shot the first round, and after that, I shot multiple rounds into the air, way above Mr. Salinas.
Espinal says that after firing, he got back in the car, and that is when he noticed Tran aiming at Salinas with his rifle and fire more shots before getting back in the car and driving away. Prosecutors then asked why it took so long for him to take responsibility.
I was too scared to pursue anything.
Espinal took a 25-year plea deal in exchange for his testimony today. He will be sentenced on a later date. As for Tran, if he is found guilty of capital murder, he would automatically be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. At the Kennedy Reeves Justice Center, Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
Still ahead on the news at 6, a San Antonio nurse reuniting with the first responders who saved his life. We'll take you there next.
I don't know, but I'm not here. At the same time, I am out of country.
Don't blame this restaurant owner for the dirty conditions inside his restaurant. He blames his employees, why health inspectors shut them down after seeing what was going on behind their kitchen door. It's tonight on the Night Beat at 10. A Southside ER nurse found himself on the other end of a life or death situation.
Jason Clark almost died in a crash in August, and today he got the chance to meet the people that helped save his life.
RJ Marquez was there as Jason reunited with those brave firefighters and paramedics.
How you doing? How you doing, man? Hello. How you doing?
This moment was months in the making for Nurse Jason Clark and this group of San Antonio firefighters and paramedics.
And thinking about it, all the times that they came in and to my ER, and I didn't realize how much they're underappreciated.
Jason was the passenger in a car that slammed into a barrier in early August. A witness called for help, and these paramedics pulled him from the mangled car.
They had to put 2 tourniquets on me, so to be bleeding that much, if there wouldn't have been a witness, I don't think by the time they got to the scene I would have made it.
Jason was rushed to the emergency room. He lost his right arm and spent more than a month recovering in the hospital after several surgeries and injuries.
Definitely no surprise that he had the injuries that he did. It was just more extreme than what we normally see on a wreck.
Firefighters usually don't get the opportunity to meet the people that they help save. That's why today was so important to this paramedics team and Jason.
It's exciting to know that he's doing well, he's doing okay, and that we actually made a difference in somebody's life.
Jason is back at work as a nurse at Mission Trail Baptist Hospital. He's grateful for the help he's received from family and friends, and for every moment he has, thanks to this group of paramedics and those around him.
I just wanted to say thanks to him, buy him a drink and maybe dinner, compare notes, and just find out what happened. Just thank them, because if it weren't for them, I wouldn't be here.
RJ Marquez, KSAT 12 News.
What a remarkable encounter.
Yeah, pretty awesome story there.
All right, let's go to Sky 12 over the TPC San Antonio. Larry Ramirez live from there. Coming up later in sports, and actually weather played a part out here and part of the delay, but good to see a nice healthy gallery out there watching somebody tee off.
Yeah, of course, the weather, a question for these folks and the rest of us in the days to come. Any more mornings like today? That was an interesting start.
Yeah, soupy, is that what you called it?
Yes, soupy.
Yeah, I like that.
Soupy. What kind of soup do you think? I mean, what are you thinking? I'm just curious.
A broth.
A broth.
I was thinking kind of a split pea.
Split pea, that's my favorite.
Okay,
yeah, I was thinking split pea soup.
With a good hammock.
Yeah, exactly.
Naturally.
Got to have a little
We've
hand
got
in
off
there.
the rails here.
Yeah, we have, of course. That's what we're good at, right? Yeah, very soupy out there this morning. I do expect another round of fog and drizzle to develop tomorrow morning, so another damp start to the day, but it's not going to be as persistent. We'll actually turn into some sunshine and warmer temperatures tomorrow afternoon, and then record challenging warmth as we get into next week. Let's actually get right to that. Some really warmer temperatures are on the way. Today, we were in the upper 70s. Tomorrow, we make it to 90 degrees for the high temperature. That's right, 90. The high tomorrow. This weekend will be in the mid 80s, and then next week back in the 90s. But Tuesday we're expecting about 95, and that would be a new record by 2 degrees should that verify. So record challenging warmth in the forecast by early next week. Here's the big picture. We've got this flow off the Pacific up above us, providing the high and mid-level clouds aloft, and then also that humid air coming off the Gulf of Mexico. So just a mixture of clouds, layered clouds overhead right now. And obviously we've had some of that dampness, but the real moisture is off to the west, in the Rockies, yet again, and even the desert Southwest. This is associated with a big trough in the upper levels, and of course this surface cold front. That's the cold front that's going to be hitting us late in the day tomorrow and slowly moving through. It's not going to be a hard-hitting front. It's one of those Pacific fronts. It's not going to have a big change behind it. But as I showed you, that temperature trend will go from 90 tomorrow to the mid-80s this weekend, and you will notice a drop in humidity. But until then, these low clouds dominate our sky. They fill in even more and lower overnight tonight. More pockets of sprinkles, drizzle, areas of fog, and overall dampness to start the day tomorrow. But then by tomorrow midday, the clouds should really start to break apart. And into the afternoon, I think we'll have a decent amount of sunshine. And our Futurecast is indicating that as well. So more moisture on the way and dampness, but it's not going to really add up to much today. We were lucky and very fortunate to get 0.11 of an inch. Tomorrow, that would be, I think, the very, very high end, if we could even squeeze that out of the clouds. Not enough to put a dent in our drought bottom line. Insignificant when it comes to our drought situation. And of course, the aquifer, which is 33 feet below the March average. You look at the newest drought monitor, San Antonio, and especially north up into the hill country, surrounding counties. That's where we have the exceptional and extreme drought, very highly concentrated here in our area, and some concentrations of it in the northern panhandle. East Texas, no problems. You can even go from the Metroplex to Tyler, down toward College Station, Houston. Not even abnormally dry, and parts of West Texas in much better shape. 67% of the state considered in drought. Our rain chance is 20% tomorrow for just some of those sprinkles and light showers. Sunday, 20% chance of a few stray thunderstorms in the afternoon. Now, next week, we could get into a little more of an active pattern Wednesday, Thursday at 20%, but with the potential to maybe raise that even more. So something to watch and cross your fingers for. It's humid out there. Dew points well into the 60s, even 70 degrees. Tomorrow with that cold front changes a bit. Not right away, but into the late afternoon and evening. Notice those dew points falling back down, and we're going to have low humidity as we go on into Saturday. It's a fog and drizzle and humid to start the day tomorrow at 68. By noon, some breaks in the clouds at 80, and then sunny and 90 tomorrow by 4 or 5 p.m. Even 91 in Poteet, 87 in Helotes, 91 for the high in New Braunfels. Low humidity on Saturday. By Sunday, the humidity's back. Mid-80s this weekend, and then that record-challenging warmth next week.
All right. Thank you, Adam.
So at 5, Larry said VTO, the Valero Texas Open.
Yes.
I thought he said BTO, Bachman-Turner Overdrive.
Of course you did.
Sometimes I have selective hearing, but Larry joins us now. Either way, he's taking care of business. It's a BTO song. Larry joins us live from Valero.
I knew it. I knew that's where you were going, Spreezer. I absolutely knew, because I love that song. So I really appreciate the fact that you did that. By the way, I wonder if Sky 12 saw us when we waved hi to them just a few minutes ago. Anyway, let's get to our coverage here at the Valero Texas Open. The first round is wrapping up. It was delayed by bad weather this morning, in particular fog, and Spurs rookie Malachi Branham is really showing that hard work pays off for that young man. Coming up.
We love you all, and any Utah fans here, you're about to lose tonight. Go Spurs, go!
All right, that is the wrong Texas, or wrong Essex Open, I should say. So let's just get right here live at the Valero Texas Open, everybody. Good evening and welcome live to TPC San Antonio at the JW Marriott, where the first round of the Valero Texas Open is slowly winding down. At last check, there were 33 golfers under par. Not too bad when you consider how heavy this wind has been. So the fog lifted, but the weather conditions are still less than stellar as the golfers have been dealing with heavy winds and sporadic rain showers all day long. Matt Kuchar on 18, which was his 9th hole of the day. His approach from 72 yards out is money, stopping 4 feet 11 inches from the cup. He'd make his birdie putt, dropping into a 3-way tie for first at 3 under par. He finished his round at 4 under and in the lead.
You really got to hit every shot is tested here. And if you start playing some indifferent golf, this course can really jump up and bite you. And I was lucky to get away with a couple of loose ones today, but for the most part, game's on some pretty good form, and I enjoy this golf course a lot.
All right, so Kuchar, Padraig Harrington, and MJ Defee are all tied for first at 4 under par. And how about this? Defee had an eagle on 18 to jump into a tie for first place. The Spurs' regular season is rapidly coming to an end. They have 6 games to go, all on the road, and it all starts with a 3-game West Coast road trip. So the Spurs will play at the Warriors first, followed by the Kings, and then at the Phoenix Suns. They'll come back to Texas after that to play 2 games at the Moody Center in Austin on April 6th and 8th, which are classified as home games for the Spurs. Then they'll close out their season Sunday the 9th at the Dallas Mavericks. Last night, the Jazz handed the Spurs their 5th straight loss, 128-117. San Antonio played without Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, and Jeremy Sohan. That's 51 combined points per game on the bench. Rookie Malachi Branham played, and he led the Spurs at 21. KSAT 12 intern Kelly Marsh has more.
It was a close one, and the Spurs fought till the end. Rookie Malachi Branham led the Spurs with 21 points and 2 assists, but missing a couple of their key players, the Spurs just couldn't stop the Jazz.
I feel like it was just all about the work I put in when nobody's watching, and when my opportunity came, I just took the most of it, and just been playing.
Trying to get them to learn how to play is what this is all about. So they're giving the effort. We can play better, but I'm happy with all of their efforts.
I feel like this team is very close with one another. We have each other's back. Obviously, it's been a rough year, but we continue to try to be there for one another. We continue to compete every single night.
It was fan appreciation night, and they were on fire, especially for the final home game at the AT&T Center. Kelly Marsh, KSAT 12 Sports.
Thank you, Kelly. The Spurs will play at Golden State tomorrow night at 9. And if you missed it last night, this guy with Coach Pop shaved on the back of his head was a hit at the AT&T Center for the Spurs' final home game of the season. Fans there absolutely loved it. And I'm thinking maybe I should do that with Steve Spreester's mug right here on the back of my head. That's it from the VTO, Spreester. Back to you.
VTO, got it.
He's already got BTO back there. You guys just can't see it.
Yeah. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Oh, my gosh.
We're going to talk Trump and history and political ramifications and what all that means when we come back. As we've been reporting since roughly 4 o'clock this afternoon, former President Donald Trump has been indicted in a Manhattan courtroom by a prosecutor there for alleged hush money that was paid to someone that he was having an extramarital affair to hopefully not impact the 2016 presidential election. But Donald Trump is running for president again. So to help us kind of put all this in perspective and what we can see down the line, Dr. David Crockett, he's a professor and chair of political science at Trinity University. David, thank you for joining us on such short notice. Really appreciate it. We talked about the fact that this has never happened before. Has anything even come close to this?
Not really. We've had presidents in legal trouble before, but not someone running for the office. Obviously, impeachment cases and whether that lingers after they leave office. But, in Bill Clinton's case, he settled his issue with Paula Jones. So this is pretty unprecedented territory.
So you talk about the campaign that he is currently running. There's the question of what does this indictment mean for that campaign, but also I think the question of the ability to campaign. Does the indictment have any impact on his ability to continue running for office?
So it doesn't have any legal impact. He can run for office while he's indicted. He can run for office if he's convicted. He can run for office if he's in jail. But running for office in a primary-centered nomination system means showing up at rallies and running campaign commercials and pressing the flesh. And if he's busy in a courtroom, that's going to be much more difficult to do. So that's going to certainly detract from his normal modus operandi, which is large rallies and his charismatic self with his base. That would be more difficult, I think, to carry off.
But could I make the argument that this may help him in some circles?
You can make the argument, and I think there's certainly a strong Trump base that will be further agitated by this, and who knows what he'll say over the course of the next couple of days before he actually has to report for processing. And this is uncertain territory there, but I think there's a certain faction in the Republican Party electorate that's going to vote for him no matter what, and this will simply, it'll feed the narrative that this is a witch hunt and it's driven by partisanship. The real question, though, is are there other elements of the electorate who are looking for something else, who might have Trump fatigue or have always been not really fans of Trump? And will there be alternatives, and will this move people in that direction? And unlike in 2016, where the 16 alternatives kind of split the vote, maybe the alternatives will be a lot smaller this time, a fewer of them, and the anti-Trump base will coalesce behind someone. And that might be the case that Haley and DeSantis and others will have to make, because they're the ones who present the alternative.
There's also the fact that this may not be the only time he's indicted over the next 6 months.
Yeah, there are at least 3 other investigations that I'm aware of involving classified documents in January 6th and meddling in the Georgia election in 2020. And those actually might be much more serious than this one. And if they roll out in sequence, we could have a series of these things over the course of the next few months. And it's one thing to have one indictment on a salacious charge and everyone kind of accepts the kind of person that Trump is. But it might be much more of an esoteric argument about where the money is coming from and how they account for it. But if other indictments come and things that are perceived as more serious, that I think could end up perhaps having a cascading effect and impact him more negatively.
Yeah, but even if, like you said, we see more indictments stack up, he could still very much be a part of this campaign and on the campaign trail. And as we were watching ABC News special report that was, cutting into part of our 5 o'clock broadcast, we were hearing some of those correspondents say the Trump campaign wants this. They're ready for this. They have said, bring this on. So looking at it from all the different ways that it's unprecedented, hearing a campaign say, yeah, we welcome the legal trouble, that in itself sounds unusual.
Yeah, it's unusual, but he has always been an unusual candidate and an unusual president who sort of defies what we think of as conventional wisdom. I would have said in 2016 he wasn't going to win, and I was wrong. So I think it's hard to predict, but I think what happens in the nomination race may be more predictable depending on how he can mobilize his base, depending on how these indictments come out, and he can use these as sort of the normal polarized narrative of they are attacking me because I am for you. The real bigger question, though, is if he, for some reason, despite all this, gets the nomination, I don't think that that's going to help him in the general election when there's going to be a significant population that has either always hated him, they're going to vote for Joe Biden, or people who might have voted for a Republican alternative, but they just can't stomach him again. That Trump base, I think, has a ceiling that might be lower than what he's expecting. And he has always been the one to sort of play to his base, not recognizing that he needs to get more than that to win. And he kind of eked over the finish line in 2016 with that. He was not able to do it in 2020. And I'm not sure how much I see that working in 2024 without a different method of doing business.
For lack of a better word, Professor, are there going to be tea leaves that you're going to be watching now? Like, there have been some candidates out there who haven't formally announced, who seem to be in sort of a holding pattern. One of them mentioned is Texas' own Governor Greg Abbott. People said if he gets in, that may indicate that people think Trump is in trouble. Are those the kind of tea leaves that we should be watching over the next few months?
Yeah, perhaps. So you do have some candidates who will get in or have gotten in who aren't too worried about Trump because they're intending to run contrary to Trump, like Haley and DeSantis. There are other people, I think, who are waiting to see what happens, and they won't get in if Trump's going to stay a strong candidate. But if he looks weak, they would see this as their opportunity. And if those start jumping in, that might be a signal that at least they believe that he's not going to be able to seal the deal. On the other hand, if too many of them get in, you will have a rerun of what happened in 2016 with 17 candidates, and candidates win when they can coalesce the establishment and the money behind them. And if that money and that support is split 10 or 10 different directions, the net Trump base might only be 35%, but that's enough to win a primary, and that's enough to get the nomination.
One thing's for sure, there's plenty to watch in the weeks and the months to come. Dr. David Crockett, thanks so much for being here, professor and chair of political science of Trinity University. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you for your time. We'll be right back.